Texas Congressman Ron Paul may have ended his campaign for the presidency, but that doesn't mean he's ready to give up the spotlight just yet. The 72-year-old Texan has raised a bunch of money online, has developed a huge grassroots following. Paul now says he's shifting gears to concentrate on his Campaign for Liberty, a new effort to help elect libertarian-leaning Republicans to public office around the country. Joining me now, author of The Revolution, Congressman Ron Paul. Good to see you, Congressman.
Thank you. Nice to be with you today.
So tell me about this revolution and your concrete efforts to energize these thousands of people who are, big-time Ron Paul supporters.
Well, the primaries have ended and we came up short, but a lot of our supporters didn't want to quit, so we organized a new group. It's called Campaign for Liberty, and it can be found campaignforliberty.com. And we're going to continue to do exactly what we've been doing, energizing people, getting young people interested, studying the issue, understanding the Federal Reserve System, understanding why those oil prices are high, and talking about these issues. So we're very, very active, and we've had a great deal of interest already expressed in our new organization.
Well, look, I think it's great. I spend a lot of time talking to college kids who are looking around going, isn't the government supposed to feed, clothe, house me, and change my diaper for me? So I love the idea of college kids out fighting for liberty. My question for you, and I always have this question for all libertarians, I've asked this before, Congressman, what makes you believe that Americans want more liberty? Don't these Gen Xers and their please take care of me mentality really reflect where, sadly, America is today?
Well, there's a contest going on. Those who want to be taken care of by others and using government force to do it, and those of us who say that we should be responsible and take care of ourselves. A year and a half ago, when I was reluctant to join the presidential race, I was convinced that nobody would listen, nobody cared, we needed another generation, we needed a disaster to wake up people. But I'll tell you what, in the last year or so, I have been very encouraged by the number of young people. They come to my office endlessly talking about self-reliance and responsibility. So I am very encouraged, and I think it's the need. I think it's the obvious evidence that government doesn't work. The foreign policy's in shambles, the spending is too high, and the young people know they're getting the bill. And that's why I think they're waking up.
Congressman Paul, I would love to believe you. I want to live in an America that's a lot more like the one that you want, self-reliance. And I see it, for example, in Iowa, where the floods strike and people rush out and they help their neighbors, they help themselves. But let's face it, a lot of America lives in New Orleans. People sitting around flooded, waiting, please come get me. Can you give me an example of where you see liberty winning in the public debate today here in the United States?
Well, I think we won the argument with New Orleans. Government totally failed. And people are waking up. They can't depend on the government. So no, I think it is difficult, and there's a lot of people who think government can bail them out. But the government's running out of money, resources, and ability, and it's going to end. I complain about us being in 130 countries and 700 bases, but that's going to come to an end, not because I'm going to persuade everybody, but we're going to run out of money. We're going to ruin our dollar, and we'll have to cut back. We'll have to live within our means, but the big decision is whether it's going to be the society you and I would like to have with less government and self-reliance and following the Constitution, or whether we're going to accept this notion that the government's going to save us. Well, obviously the government can't save us because the government is nobody. They can't create jobs and they can't create wealth, and the sooner we wake up, the better.
I want to get to political stories in the presidential race in a second, but one last thing. You mentioned oil prices. In your view, it seems to me it's classic libertarian supply and demand. Am I missing something here on why the price is so high?
Yeah, but there's another addition to that. There's a supply and demand of energy, but that is not our problem. You can get all the oil and gasoline you want at the gas station today, but the reason there's a problem is the price is too high. So they don't talk about the supply and demand of dollars. The supply of dollars is too much, and that's why the gasoline prices are going up. Also, the foreign policy of our intervention in the Middle East has been a fear factor, and there's danger over there, and that has pushed the prices up. They're up over $100 since we've invaded Iraq, so that is a factor. Nobody really wants to talk about that. But the cost of gasoline is up because the value of the dollar is down.
I want to speak about foreign policy for a second, because you and I disagree on foreign policy. Having a Looney Tune like Saddam Hussein running around threatening his neighbors was never good for gas prices. You add China and India's demand and the tight supply to a Looney Tune like Saddam Hussein, got a problem. But I have to ask you this because I think it's a necessary question. So many of your supporters I meet are also part of the 9/11 truth movement. You've appeared in a movie, Endgame, that talks about the Bilderbergers, etc. Why do you think there is such an attraction from that part of the political discourse to your movement?
Well, I'm not sure, and one of the reasons is that, though I don't endorse those concerns, I probably have encouraged it, ironically, because I haven't accepted the 9/11 investigation.
You haven't?
No, because I think they hid things from us, and they didn't want to blame anybody. Nobody was discovered to be inept. We spent $40 billion on security, and the information was there. What about the CIA agents that reported 35 or 40 times that these individuals were flying airplanes, but learning how to fly airplanes but not land them, and we didn't do anything, but nobody was punished. So there was a lot of ineptness there on that, and nobody talks about the incentives for people to commit suicide terrorism, and it's very, very clear that suicide terrorists are not motivated because people are rich or because they're free. They're motivated mainly and almost wholeheartedly because they are occupied by foreign nations. And if we don't understand that, we are going to be forever threatened by terrorists.
Once again, I disagree with you, but are you saying there's something about the 9/11 attack that we should know but don't? I thought we know. 19 guys, airplanes slammed into the buildings. What don't we know?
Well, what we don't know is who was inept. We had that information buried in all those records that some of these people were stirring around. We didn't do anything to prevent it. I mean, we had all this money spent to protect us. On that day, on 9/11, Seoul, Korea was better protected than Washington, D.C. and New York City. So there's something wrong. We're looking outward, not inward. We closed down bases in America, and we built them in Saudi Arabia, which was the #1 motivating factor of Osama bin Laden. He says, you have a military base by foreigners on our holy land. So we have to understand that. If not, there's no way we can solve this problem.
And of course, we were there because of the threat of Saddam Hussein, which takes us back to the beginning. But Congressman, I've got to take a quick break. I'd love to continue this conversation when we return. More with Congressman Ron Paul in just a minute. Please stick around.
What you're about to experience will
blow your mind.
Think for just a second about how many overnight packages are delivered every day all around the world. How many of those packages come to your door? Now, of those packages, how many contain cash? Get ready to fall in love with your delivery guy. In a few days, you can replace this with this. There's a reason this is called the overnight cash system. Find out for yourself.
Is this for real?
Absolutely. Real people from all over the world are tasting real success with the overnight cash system. It's a time-tested activity based on bringing out the best in all of us. People from all walks of life are living better lives than they ever dreamed possible using this system, and it's your turn now.
Can I do this?
Let's find out. Can you place an ad that's already written for you in a place that's already picked out? Once you've done that, can you answer the door? If you can do that, you can do this. Every part of the process is made plain and easy to follow, so your path to success has already been laid.
So what's next?
Truthfully, not much. Beyond this movie is all the information you'll need to get out of your dreams and into a new and exciting reality. You owe it to yourself and to your family to find out if this is everything I'm saying it is. So come on in. And by the way, could you get that for me?